Hi, and welcome to Kitchen Design Week. Today I am joined by Marcos, our Director of Marketing, and we are going to be talking about how to turn more consultations into paying clients for your design business. Marcos has spent years working in sales and marketing, and today he's going to teach you how to connect with customers in a way that drives results. I know that's something you're really passionate about, is making sure that the people you're bringing into your design business are going to turn into paying clients. Today, he's bringing his experience to the kitchen design world, sharing how to turn consultations into paying clients. Let's start off by defining relational sales, and how does this differ from more traditional sales strategies?
The best way to explain that and the difference is to share an example, right?
Mm-hmm.
A transactional sale will be any sale that someone goes there, grab out of a shelf, and go home, problem solved, they have whatever they need, right? Some are a little bit more complex, but still very transactional, right? If you go and buy something that's a little bit more expensive, let's suppose a vacuum, right? You're gonna buy a vacuum and you could just go there, choose your vacuum and go home, right? Whereas the relational sale, it's all types of sales that you need to have more than one interaction with your customer, your potential customer, right? Kitchen sales is one of those that fit in that category, right? Much more than obviously getting someone to your showroom and choosing a kitchen that you have and display, and then, okay, this is the kitchen you're gonna have. We need to have all the designing process happening and all the consultation and all those things. So that's why relational sales fit very well into the kitchen business as well.
Mm-hmm. There's more steps to take in the process of buying a kitchen.
100%.
And then you have more points of interaction to build that relationship with the client.
Yeah, and in addition to that, we have some studies that we have run here. Normally someone that decides to buy a kitchen, from the dreaming phase to the purchase takes on average 11 months, which passes through the phase of dreaming about something, shopping for a designer, and then deciding the colors and the patterns and the style you want, all the way to ordering the kitchen and having it produced, right? So in 11 months, probably a good chunk of that, the designer will be guiding this conversation,
right?
Which is the time to create a relationship.
Yeah. So I think because you have such a long process and such a long time to build this relationship, it's really important to know your client really well and the type of person that you're selling to. How can kitchen designers more efficiently recognize if they're talking to their ideal client or someone who's likely to buy?
I always like to propose an exercise to understand who your client is, right? Obviously, if you're in business for a few years, you probably have talked to some people, you probably have designed a few kitchens. So the best way to understand who is your client, because that's another thing that people sometimes get confused, right? Once I was talking to a kitchen dealership owner, and he mentioned to me, well, my clients are everybody that needs a kitchen, right? And that's not the reality, right? We work with different niches, we work with different product lines. So saying that everybody that needs a kitchen is my client, it's a mistake, right? So the best way to understand who is your best client or ideal customer or ideal client, right? I always propose an exercise. The exercise is look back to your customers, pick 5 customers that you really like to work in the past, and ask yourself questions about them. What kind of habits they have, what kind of behaviors you can notice on them, what kind of patterns you can trace on those, and it's a good way to find your ideal customer profile. Once you have that in front of you, that's the way to identify who are the ones that have more chances to close the deal with you, right? One of the things that I always propose is, obviously, having that design doesn't mean that anyone different than that comes through your door, you're gonna say, no, I don't wanna talk to you, right? But those are the ones that you have more chances to close the deal, to close the sale.
They're most like the best experiences that you've had with clients.
Correct.
What does the role of like personas, is that how you start developing like a marketing persona or a sales persona, is looking at those 5 people, or is there more that goes into that process?
One thing that's very important for us to separate here is what is the persona and what is the ideal customer profile, right?
Okay.
So those two concepts, they obviously work together, but they are not the same thing. So persona, especially when we talk about marketing, we use the persona as the personification of our client in a way that we're gonna be writing the communication thinking about that person, right? Whereas the ideal customer profile, instead of the traces and the descriptions we have for the persona, it's more factual. Okay, where do they work? what's their average income, what kind of neighborhoods do they live, this kind of thing. It's more factual, it's more based on demographics, right?
Okay.
And more palpable things. So that's how we differentiate those two things. I'm saying that, not saying that personas are not important, right? Because I know we're going to be talking about marketing a little bit in a few minutes, right?
Yeah.
But it's very important to have marketing and sales very much aligned, right? If those two things are not aligned, one is communicating to one type of public and the other one communicating with a different type of people or looking for a different type of client, customer lead, that's not going to be good.
Yeah, there'll be a disconnect.
Correct.
Yeah. Okay, that's a good point to note there. Let's say a designer is getting lots of foot traffic in their showroom. They have a lot of people coming in, but there's not the same proportionate number of sales. So maybe they're attracting the wrong person. What would you hypothesize is the reason for this?
That's a very good question. Good job, Sam. We have a few options or a few things that could happen there, right? One, marketing is not bringing the right leads. So then again, we just talked about that, right?
Yeah.
The alignment between marketing and sales needs to be there. And if that's not happening, maybe we have to do some adjustments there to align what kind of people we are bringing in, right? Second option could be your sales process is not good enough, right? Yeah. You have the right leads, you have the right people in front of you, but sometimes you don't have a process, right? You're
dropping the ball a little bit.
Yes, dropping the ball or not doing what you need to do and walking the steps you need to walk.
The customer isn't feeling like confident in making that sale.
100%. In general lines, those are the two main things, right? And obviously, I'm being very simplistic here, right? What I would do if I get to analyze a situation like that more in depth is, okay, they're coming, and are they coming back, or are they just doing the first step, first talk, and they don't show up anymore, or you follow up and they don't answer anymore, right? Or no, they are coming once, coming twice, coming 3 times. We are talking about finishes, we are talking about designs, and then later in the game they decided not to go with us. So those are different things we need to analyze, right? If you have a very structured sales process, you probably understand which phase you are dropping the ball or in which phase your lead is ghosting you, right?
Yeah.
So in that sense, when you identify which phase you need to tweak or adjust, or where they are dropping the ball with you, that's the place you gotta put your eyes on and work a little bit to get better there.
Right. We mentioned before that there's multiple steps in the process to build the relationship, and then multiple steps in the sales process. Those two things go together. There's multiple knobs you can tweak and buttons you can press to make this be more streamlined for your client.
100%.
A large part of kitchen sales is building trust with your client. How can designers shift their mindsets from this old school closing the sale, being kind of salesy, and shifting that to being more relational?
I'm gonna say something a little different here.
Okay.
I don't want anyone to stop being salesy, because when you talk about designers, I was having a conversation a few weeks ago, and this person said something that was very smart, and I want to phrase it. When you are looking for a good kitchen designer from a dealership perspective, right, from a business owner perspective, we are looking for someone that's artsy, salesy, and engineering, right? They need to have those 3 brains in one person, which is pretty much a unicorn. But it's important to have those 3 things, right? The importance of building a relationship in a sales process will help or will ensure that you are selling the right thing to the right people, right? There's nothing worse than you selling an awesome product to the wrong people, or exactly it's the perfect kitchen, but doesn't fit whatever I need or whatever I would like to have, right? That's an unsatisfied customer forever. So shifting a little bit from the salesy, pushy to a relational type of scenario would mean that this person is asking more questions, more interested in developing something for that client specifically, for that customer specifically, than actually trying to just push something that they have already done or the ways they have done things before, right? In some cases, if you are not comfortable doing whatever your customer is saying or asking you to do, there's no problem referring to another professional, right? However, I would say no one likes to lose business. So being open-minded, well-rounded designer is very important, because that way you can make more customers happy, right?
Yeah, and serve more people.
Yeah.
I was also talking with a designer at KBiz, and we were discussing a little bit on how custom cabinetry really gives you the opportunity to be creative, and you have that opportunity to meet customers' needs in a very specific way. And yeah, to be uncomfortable a little bit, push those creative boundaries. Don't always fall back to what's in the showroom display, like bring out more ideas.
And another thing to that, you said something that's very important. Be uncomfortable, push the boundaries a little bit, right? And it's very important to have good partners with you, right? So if you have good partners, good cabinet manufacturers, Decor, if you have good manufacturers with you, rely on them as well, right? Decor, for instance, we have a team of customer solutions. We have a team of digital development people here. We also have a AutoCAD team. Those people can be your allies when you are working on something that's a little bit out of your comfort zone, right?
Having that reassurance and
100%.
And confidence in the product really helps. What are some sales mistakes that you feel could push clients away?
Okay, I'm going to talk about two separate or two different categories of mistakes, right? One is being too salesy or too pushy, and the other one is being the opposite of that, right? Being not pushy at all, or not salesy, or not guiding your process too, right? It's very common to see sometimes people, they are very artsy, they know how to design, and now they are in this real world and need to sell, right? And then, okay, but I'm not a salesperson. I don't want to sell. I want to stay doing whatever I do here very good, right? However, the good ones, or the ones that have more results, not good in terms of design, but good in terms of results, are the ones that can master those two things, right? One of the biggest things I see is one, trying to be too pushy, right? Or trying to speak more than listen. And people need to listen, especially because when you are creating a relationship, as we said, they need to listen actively. They need to listen whatever the customer is telling them in the beginning, because those are the things that are going to help them to build the right project, right? But the opposite of that is also not follow up or not follow through. Let's suppose someone comes to your design studio, design center, and then you start a very good conversation, very good relationships, things are going well, and then you don't call again, or you forgot to send an email, or you forgot to keep the sales process moving, right? And it's as important as doing a good design to keep the sales process running, right? Because if you don't do that, if you drop the ball, the client needs a kitchen. He's not gonna wait for you forever, right? He's gonna find someone that's on top of the game and trying to move forward, right? So those two things, those two sides of things, one is being too much, one is being too little, right?
Yeah.
But always be there, always be present. That's a good thing.
No, and that makes sense. Like, people are really busy. There are lots of other things that can draw a client's attention, or expenses. Life is expensive. And if they've set this money aside for a new kitchen and they're deciding to go for it, if you let that process draw out a little bit too long, then possibly maybe something else is going to
sometimes could be even worse than that, right? Instead of like losing to another kitchen design professional, you are losing to a new car, or you are losing to a new trip to whatever, right?
Yeah.
Because that's
seasons start to change, weather gets cold, and you're like, oh,
exactly. I have this money to spare. Well, maybe I'm going to. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. So as we mentioned before, marketing plays a large role in leading clients to the designer and preparing them for the sale. In what ways does marketing help build a relationship with a client before they even step into your business?
Yeah. Especially with the internet and everybody's online now and stuff, right? There's a shift. Since we have this boom of the internet, there's a shift on the buyer journey, or on the way the people are buying stuff, right? Let's move back 20, 30 years. Let's put 30 years. Let's move back 30 years, right? If you want to buy a car 30 years ago, what was the process? Oh, you see a billboard somewhere, or you see a magazine or something like that. And then you go to the dealership, talk to people and ask all the questions. And the salesperson there, or the sales consultant in that case, would be the one guiding this person through the information. Obviously, sometimes sharing it all, sometimes sharing only what was important, right? Now, with this spread of information we have now, people, before they get in touch to a kitchen designer or a car sales dealer or whatever, they already know the styles they like. Normally, they have a Pinterest page with a bunch of kitchens they like and styles, right? They already know what kind of materials do they want. They want like a 5-piece store. They want something like a slim shaker or whatever the case they want. They have some guidelines, I would say, right?
Yeah.
So statistically speaking, 65% of the sales process happens before they talk to a salesperson.
Wow, that's
And
significant.
exactly. And the only way to influence or to start building a relationship with this in this phase is through marketing, right? So if you have a very aligned marketing that understands that marketing is part of the growth machine of the company, they need to be acting ahead of the time and working on their content and stuff like that. One of the ways I feel it's very successful to do that, and we do here at Decor as well, right, is to, for instance, start working with education, right? Bringing information before they have a business with us, before people talk to us. If you go to our website, even if you're not our designer with Decor or dealer with Decor, you can see we share a lot of things because we understand that sharing information is important. And that's the good way to start a good relationship. Before you talk to us, you can already consume things. Maybe some of you watching this are not our dealers yet, but you're yet here receiving some information, some consuming some education as well.
So once a client has been prepared with marketing, they've been told this brand story, and they have a lot of information about the business already, how can we make sure that this expectation is what they receive when they come into the business? Does this have to do with authenticity, or are there other things that will help align those two together?
A very simple way to do that is have ongoing meetings between marketing and sales, right? So the marketing needs to reflect what the sales are trying to do, and obviously all the way around. So sometimes I even play around with the words and I say, we don't have sales and marketing, we have marketing, right? It's all one thing. But as you said, obviously having a good brand story, it's important, right? But I feel that, for instance, if a design center decides to take the route of being an educational source to their local customers there, their consultants need to do the same thing. The designers need to understand that they are there not only to design good kitchens or beautiful kitchens, but also to explain and teach people whatever they need, right? As I said before, a lot of research comes in before they talk to the designer, right? So problem, and what's happening now, we have educated customers. They get there knowing something, right? Not all the things, maybe they don't have like everything connected, but have some knowledge here and there, or they know is like, okay, what's this pull-out thing, or what's this kind of solutions they're looking for, and then comes down to the designer to kind of align the information they have or all the pieces of education they have there into something that's cohesive and they can understand, right? So authenticity is very good, but also understanding to be a little bit of a teacher, a little bit of a guidance counselor there to kind of guide people through the right decisions, right? Because that's another thing I feel as well. Not all customers know exactly what's the best thing for them. I'm looking to the camera because that's a very important thing to say, right? Sometimes you as a professional, you know better than your customer what's better for them, right? So don't shy away from saying, hey, I think we should do something different than this. We could have a better solution this way or that way, right? Because that way also instills confidence and trust and say, oh, this is a professional, right? I'm talking to someone that knows what they're doing, not someone that's just here to do whatever I want, right?
Exactly. I don't know if you've ever had the experience where you go in and you talk with a sales professional. It almost seems like they don't know what they're talking about. And like you've gone and done your research online, you kind of have a bit of an idea, a taste per se, and then you ask them questions and they're, oh, I'm not sure about that. And I feel like that doesn't help build confidence in the customer wanting to spend their money with your business.
Not trying to be harsh here or anything like that, or bashing on people that have this kind of habit, right? But when I get someone like that, this is not a sales professional, or this is not a consultant professional. He's there just to whatever I want, just give me...
To fill out the form.
Fill out the form, yeah.
That's what I feel as well. We talked a little bit about reassuring the client. Sometimes homeowners may not even know what they want. Sometimes they want to be told, they want to be guided through this process. I know I feel this way about my hairstylist. I'll bring in pictures or a trend and be like, I want to accomplish this, but I want your input. I want you to tell me what to do. And whenever I see a different hairstylist, other than the one I always go to, I feel like I'm not getting the proper consultation. And I'm not like as confident in my hair. And even if they did a great job, because I wasn't reassured, it almost feels like, do I like it? I'm not sure, because we didn't have that thoughtful process. How can designers quickly uncover what a client really wants, even if they seem like they're not sure themselves?
It's I think that's a very, very important question, because the way to understand what anyone wants is by asking questions, right? The best way to understand. If you try to the guess game, chances are you're not gonna get it right? So asking the proper questions is a good way to do it, right? Actually, asking questions, the art of asking questions, is one of the most powerful assets anyone can have, right? And not only to define the design, but also to close the sale, right? Sometimes asking the right question, for instance, about budget, makes you understand, okay, is this a fit for me, or should I refer this to a different professional, right? Or is this person looking for something that's above or below the budgets I can serve them, or something like that, or styles or anything like that? First, then you don't waste your time, and then you go to the next one. Or if it is a good fit for you, then you can keep going and evolving the process, right? And asking the right questions, understanding what's more important, it's very key, right? One of the things I've heard from a professional last week, Cabes again, right? That's something that struck to me. This designer said in the first consultations or the first conversations he has with the clients, anytime the client says any adjective, he just takes notes about the adjectives he's putting on the paper, right? And then when he is in his creative process, he uses those adjectives to kind of create things. Say, hey, remember you said four times you want a bold kitchen, or you want a bold color here. So this is the bold statement we have in your kitchen and stuff like that, right? Wow. So I thought that was very interesting, because he's getting without asking, right? He asked one question, and the answers that are coming sometimes come in, some bits and pieces, and he takes notes on that. I think was a very, very nice tip for people.
And I think when building relationships, a lot of times advice is to say back to the person what they've already said, and it kind of reaffirms that you were listening. Yeah. And that helps build that trust. And so that was such a great way to kind of undercover, figure out what they're looking for, and then be able to serve them better ultimately. So we touched on this a little bit before, but I feel like in creative fields, there's a tendency to kind of view sales as a necessary evil rather than as a welcomed skill. How can we help designers shift their mindset to really embrace this and help them feel more confident and natural in selling, rather than that this is a scary thing?
Yeah, there's a lot of things with that, right? One could be a scary thing. Another one, salesperson. I don't like salespeople, right? So, but more and more sales professionals are shying away from that, right? Moving away from that kind of
car salesman vibe.
Yes. And again, as we said before, right? In order to find whatever suits your customer the best, you gotta be a salesperson, right? It's not about like pushing sales. It's about consulting and do a relational sales, as we are talking today, right? It's more about asking the right questions, being on top of your game, follow up through the process, right? I know sometimes some design centers don't have like a very descriptive process. The first step is to generate a lead, and then when they get here, they become a prospect. And then as things evolve, we have the development phase, and then we have the designing phase, and those things, right? But even if you have like very simple process, right? Someone comes over here, I have my first consultation, first conversation, and I have the designing process, and then they have the closing the deal or whatever, right? Understanding those things and asking the right questions and putting yourself out there in a way that, no, I'm here to help this person to have the best kitchen they can have. That's a way to reshape that, right? Sales is not the main thing. Sales is just a process you follow, right? However, if you don't follow the process, there's no money coming in, right? There's no deals. So we need to have that, right? But again, just to reassure, keep in mind, if you have a good sales process, you are helping people to have the kitchens they deserve, or the best kitchen possible. So that's kind of the way I would say.
Yeah, and then you can reframe that in your mind from being like, I just have to push these kitchens to I'm helping this person, I'm serving this person.
I'm serving this person.
I think also people are a bit afraid if they're naturally a shyer person, maybe they're not super outgoing. Do you think you have to be naturally confident to be good at sales, or is this something that can be learned?
No, you gotta be. If you are not, you're out. No, just kidding. No, there's no such thing. There's no such thing. Obviously, some people are good communicators, but the fact that they are natural good communicators doesn't mean that they are going to be good salespeople. Because as I said before, a good salesperson is not just the one that tries to lure people in or try to,
Be charismatic.
Charismatic is the one that follow the process.
Right.
If this guy that's phenomenal communicator is not calling the other day, say, hey, did you check my my design or my email or my quote or whatever? If they don't follow the process, they're not going to be having the good results as well, right? Sales is something that anyone can learn, right? I used to I used to teach my team saying that I'm going to teach you guys the sales magic. Because a lot of people say that sales is art. Sales is not art. Sales is science, right? And then when they get to the room, okay, sales magic is that sales is no magic. It's science. And then I show the numbers and stuff, right? Because that's the thing. It's a very science-driven process based on data, based on moves, based on steps, right? If you understand that, anyone can learn it.
It's science with people.
Yeah, the science of people.
Science of people. How can designers use storytelling to make their presentations more compelling and memorable for clients?
Well, one of the things that I feel it's important, again, if you are listening since the beginning, everything that this person is saying to you, build that into the presentation is important, right? As I said before, that designer taking notes of every adjective that the person was saying lots and how many times that person mentioned that word specifically, right? Using those things and all the information you have and incorporating that into the design, for sure you are using or leveraging the storytelling here, right?
Right. You're building their story
Exactly.
and telling it back to them in the process.
Exactly.
What role does showcasing past projects and client experiences play in converting clients?
I think it's a very good tool, especially in the beginning of the process, right? Not too much on the end when we are designing and trying to just close the deal, right? But in the beginning, when I am looking for, let's suppose I'm a customer and I'm looking for a design center, right? And I don't know where to go, I normally take a look on the testimonials, or obviously I try to get inspired by whatever they have done before, right? If I go to a website and see nothing there, that's me, right? But I would be a little bit afraid to go or to pursue that company to design my kitchen, right? But if instead I go to a website and have all sorts of kitchens, all organized in different styles, different colors and stuff, I would for sure try to go with someone like that, right? Also, something that I like a lot in the websites is when they have the process. Think of how our process works. What's the step-by-step? Oh, you first do this, that, and then we get your kitchen done and stuff. I like those things.
Does that help the client kind of self-identify where they are in the process?
Yeah.
And then could that help them turn into a sale easier?
Yeah, I think I also feel that by looking for inspiration galleries and stuff like that, or testimonials, I try to identify myself in that kitchen or identify myself as a customer for that. Would I be a good customer here?
Right.
You know, would I be treated well and fair? And, you know,
am I going to have a good experience?
Am I going to have a good experience? 100%, right? Is that the type of kitchen I'm looking for? Oh no, this is not. I want something different. I want more contemporary. They do only traditional, or I want something whatever, right?
Right.
So answering your question is more in the beginning of the stages, right? Like in the beginning of the process, trying to bring the right people to us, right? Right. The right people to the right customers to the design center.
So a little bit more on the marketing side of things rather than sales.
Yeah.
How can design center owners and managers teach and support their designers in becoming better at relational sales?
Like in every company, the culture comes from above, right? Comes from the owners, comes from the management team. If this team is not aligned with this type of sale, or with this type of methodology, no one will be, right? It's going to be very hard to implement something like that. I like a lot when I see managers and owners being very data-driven, understanding their sales process, and then, as we said before, what kind of levers can we change here to adjust the sales process and get better, right? And obviously, if they have that as a culture and start teaching it to their teams, it's much easier to have that happening there, right? Also, very important, also comes from management, the alignment of sales, marketing, and also the post-sale, right? The post-sale, the customer service after the installation. This whole thing must be aligned, right? Because we obviously here we are focusing on sales, but if marketing is not talking to sales and sales is not talking to service and service doesn't talk to installation, we obviously going to drop the ball somewhere, right? And obviously we don't want to drop the ball anywhere. So having the whole team aligned is very important, right?
And I think nowadays it's more common to have a marketing team join a sales team. I don't think it's very common to have a marketing team for a design center and then start bringing in new salespeople. So I think it's really important if you want, say, to bring on a social media manager, if you want to start a website, to have that alignment there. And then when you're either paying these professionals, you're bringing an in-house team, that can be very clear and makes the process a lot smoother when you're trying to ramp up marketing that you haven't maybe done before.
Yeah, and again, right, sometimes the owner doesn't have marketing background or sales background, which is okay. It's not an issue, right? But the owner must have the vision. Right. You know, the management must have the vision. If they understand what they want to achieve, they can hire a professional to kind of build that vision, right? Maybe they don't know the tools or they don't know how to do it, but having someone to kind of build that based on that vision is important. Because that's the thing. Some people grow and they think, oh, now I'm going to hire a full marketing team and a full sales team and we're going to be rich forever, right? But if you don't set the vision, marketing's going to be scrambling around, trying to find the best way to do or the best. And sometimes they're going to try to push to what they feel is the best, but maybe it's not aligned with what you want, right? So having the vision and communicating that with your marketing team, sales team, is very important.
I would agree. All right, so we're wrapping up this discussion here. Thank you so much for joining us today for Kitchen Design Week. We have a few more sessions coming up later in the week. And yeah, Marcos, thank you so much for joining. I hope design centers watching, owners, designers, people in the kitchen and bath industry can take some valuable sales skills home to help turn more consultations into clients. Thank you so much.
Thanks for having me, Sen.